Cool, so this talk's called Being Open about open source. And so that's about more why you should get involved and what to expect if you do get involved and a bit of encouragement. So I am Zypher everywhere. You know how you say it, that's how you say it. But since we're all friends, we're Michael. I won't respond to Michael. I'm the other Michael, not as funny as Michael, unfortunately. I'm a front-end designer, a front-end developer at Nine Designs. I mostly work on tooling performance stuff, and that's where most of my open source stuff's come out of. And I'll skip through it quickly, like Fiona said. I run a bunch of community stuff with some friends back in Melbourne, and Fiona in the past. And I really love open source, to the point that I once open sourced my holiday to San Francisco. My first time there. This went surprisingly well, and this day is my first start in Aruba. I've been forked 22 times, so someone's loving my holiday. I wanted to just go to Europe, and I'll try and move it on. But more importantly for this stuff, I've for serious support decisions on people's behalf. That is the bugger. I am one of the core developers of libsass and the team lead on NodeSass, so if you use libsass, thanks. So we probably all heard the story about how great open source is. You should get involved. It's the pinnacle of development to give back to the community. And if you search for stuff like this, that's great. Some of you may believe this kind of stuff yourself. You probably have some sort of open source celebrity crush, you know, you want to meet them one day, like this person. His name was Paul Irish, I met him, that's correct. That's totally normal-ish for us. And a lot of this is validated by our industry, that like, people do make a big open source to get really big names. People who didn't come in to be famous, but got really famous through like doing open source stuff they just cared about. But the truth of the matter is, open source stuff for the most part is pretty famous. This came off my Twitter about libsass. I do stalk the libsass Twitter feed, and most of it is complaining, which is cool. Like they complain that they have valid issues, and a lot of these people that are using libsass because reach out to them. But we expect a lot of comments in your Twitter feed. And I think a lot of that comes from people have an idea of open source projects begin. You think of big projects like Grunt and your Gulps and your Bootstraps. And I kind of think, like some big companies behind this, someone owns this, a big team of people working on this all day long, and I somehow may benefit from this project. In reality, it's really just like this. This is someone in their room at night doing a thing they enjoyed, probably with me, some of the pieces of Red Bull floating around in the background there. And they did this thing because they thought it was cool, and someone found it, and would depend on it, and it just happened. But this is a picture of me shipping a major feature of like libsass like the day before, right before a meeting of SysConf AU. And this is what it looked like probably later tonight, tomorrow morning, write this code. It's not glamorous, but it's just things we do because we're comfortable, we enjoy it. And that's what open source dev looks like. More like this, if you follow Twitter. There's no big famous company behind this kind of stuff. And so, a lot of these big projects happen by accident. Nobody planned Bootstrap to explode or Grunt to explode. These things just happen, you can't control it, and you're never ready when it does. And the idea that this idea of like, there's somebody who runs these things, somebody owns these things, somebody's big, someone that's famous because this project leads with some entitlements. And we ended up with comments. This literally was 20 hours ago, when I just emailed last night, and people complaining about why this thing I made sucks. And because they've heard this thing that people are using it, and people are loving it, and they're going to use it to work for them. And somehow that's my fault, that's our fault, our thing didn't work for them. And this is how people went. And this thread ended up being very peaceful, but someone reached out and said, help us help you, don't get angry about it. And truthfully, sometimes it is our fault. That silly bug that ruined your day was probably written by somebody at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday, weighing up whether they sleep for going out in a meeting in the morning, or just power through. And you can see this is the libsass shoe track out, so you're like, my bad, this is a mistake someone's made. And some of those leads, some of those other developers, it happens. And they might be up at 2 a.m. in the morning because they saw their Twitter feed and saw something like this. And and someone kind of yelling at them saying, "This thing you made is suck," and putting a lot of effort just to saying how much you suck in 140 characters, rather than running a GitHub issue. So, this open source thing is actually really good. There are great sides to it, it's not all bad, but you're going to spend a lot of your time repeating yourself in issues, and then writing docs, spending all the time writing docs that no one will read, where you will repeat with a little bit of issues before reading those docs, and then you repeat yourself. And you're going to hear a lot of conversations about why you suck, and why the thing you wrote sucks, and could you make it suck less? That's cool, like, as Mike was saying before, these things help you make things better. There are probably nice ways of going about it, but these people are angry for a reason, and it's good to get to the cause of that reason. But the great thing about it is, when you're doing this open source stuff, you come out of a community. This was a tweet I put out about this very talk, and wondering how I was going to find samples of negative things happening in open source, because it is so great most of the time. And then I checked my email, and those things came from my previous email, but these are the people from the SAS community. And I just jumped down and said, just keep doing awesome stuff. Chris Epstein, if you've never worked with him, I've never talked to him before, is the person who writes SAS with Natalie and writes Compass. They should always jump out. And if you ever have a chance to work with the SAS community, like you should. It's the concentration of the nicest people in the world in one spot. And this community you make, this thing that you did, this silly idea you had, there's full of people who are just thankful because you did something that in some way made their life slightly better. And that's what you can ask when we build something. We built something because we had a problem, and we wanted to make that problem better for us. And then somebody found it and made it better for them. And things just get better over time. Nothing started off big. It started off as such really small things, really helpful things that became big over time. And you're going to meet awesome people when you have your own community. And you might get up on stage here and talk to people about building a community. This is Hampton Catlin in the middle, who was the inventor of SAS and the creator of libsas. And on the left is Chris Epstein, the creator of Compass, one of the authors, co-authors of SAS. And me, and this was a couple weeks ago in San Francisco at a SAS event, before I got up on stage and told people what I'm doing when I write SAS. And one day you'll help somebody else build their own silly thing. Like, that's kind of the best thing. Everyone's building these silly things and going into it, and somebody falls in love with it, and then they make that silly thing less silly. And over time, you have this really cool project. But at the heart of it, it was somebody's silly idea one night when they were late, and you had nothing better to do. And that's what open source is about to me, really. Yeah, it's emotional, I know. But it's really about building a community around this thing. It's not matter how great a project is, if there's no community. If you're just hard to deal with, if you're going to come on this track and bully people, you're not going to, this thing's never going to take off, because people are going to work with you, and no one's going to build this thing. And no big project succeeded because one person didn't work. And community builds every project. Everyone does a job, whether your job is evangelism by saying, this thing I use rocks. Triaging bugs, writing tests, fixing bugs. The Pinnacle was writing features on pull requests, even like sanity checking, just saying, hey, you guys use this thing. Is this idea I have crazy? Will this help? Will this hurt? It's a point where it's not no longer your project, it becomes a project of the community. And that's the point where you become a great open source maintainer, or you become a dictator. You have to accept that people are using your thing, and they have as much to say in how this goes as you do now. So if you want to know where to start, if I haven't turned you off, have the idea of community open source, getting involved, every little bit really helps. Documentation bugs are the most painful thing. You can find a typo in a doc, submit a pull request. If something didn't match up with the docs, open an issue. These are the things that you just can't catch, and they do go on forever. If you look for specific things, look for tags or repos, community, or help wanted. A lot of code bases will have these kind of things. This is Node SAS. We tag a bunch of stuff with help wanted in the community for documentation, or things we know are really easy, like renaming stuff in the docs and renaming stuff in the code. We just have time to get around to working on bigger features. CSS Next has the same thing. They have the idea of pull request welcome. They also have a community help wanted thing. It's always good to look for tags, especially like PRs welcome, they're usually pretty easy. If you want to step it up, if you're better than Node, if you can do really, if you want to go to the next level, Mozilla have a program called Mozilla Mentor or Mentor Bugs, and has a list of like bugs that are relatively easy, and there are people in that area who will help you get through that bug, and you start committing to browsers. Chrome has a similar thing, but I can't remember the name of it. So there's really, the barrier to entry open source is really low. I guess most of this room who are familiar with GitHub. The challenges are high, but it's up to you whether you think it's worth it. I thought it was. It's something I do a lot of, so I'll keep doing more of. And it's something I'll keep encouraging people to do. The key to understanding the anger behind open source is anger on the internet about your project is figuring out why they came from. Chris Epstein summarizes really well by saying every troll on the internet is a troll because they're angry about something, for the most part. And the key, rather than get angry back at them and starting a fight and starting a spiral, is to ask them why. Find out why they're angry. Because at the bottom of that, there's probably some nugget of truth, something actually wrong with your project, something they don't understand. And education goes a long way in helping people feel better about this thing. And hopefully getting them to build something better. Like I'd be happy one day if somebody builds a better libsass, and I stop writing libsass. Because at some point we'll push the industry further. That's my goal with libsass, is to make myself redundant in any open source projects. So thanks. You can find me everywhere on Zaffa.